Thursday, July the 6th, 2023, here with your live show. We're live 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Got a pretty solid schedule here today. We've got day baseball, we've got evening baseball, and I got some space between me and Chris Ruffalo over here. Ruffalo, told him I had some things cooking, and all of a sudden he got all excited. He thought we were baking over here or something.
Wait, now there's bacon?
There's bacon too? What?
It's like I was behind Ruffalo on the drive-thru last night, and it had like 10 setup words. Like, I mean, it was just like, he's just lucky it wasn't this format. Would have been a little bit different show there. But I like doing that drive-thru, you know? It's like I like being a guest on the weekend show, and I like doing the drive-thru. I like both these things, you know? I think the football show's for the weekend, so I'm not sure if we're going to go back to the old style. I like the panel. I know it takes forever. We'll just have to start early, you know, and late.
Start a little, yeah.
Yeah. I like the panel, though, for football. I think it's fun.
Way more fun, yeah.
It is fun. My Trey Lance pick last year. My highlight of the season.
Right.
Yep. How many minutes did I have Trey Lance to enjoy last year?
73.
73 minutes for Trey
73,
Lance. I waited years for it. I waited 2 years. Got 73 minutes. Bears made him eat some turf. That was the best. It was like a rainy day in Chicago. They're like getting 9 points. The Bears, and Trey Lance's like helmet is like planted in the mud. Like he's got to like pry it out. It's like nothing fun about that. How about the Mets last night pulling one out from the Diamondbacks? That was crazy, man. It was yesterday was pretty straightforward baseball, right? There wasn't like a lot there. It was just kind of one of those days where not a ton of weird stuff happened, but you know, then the Mets actually how about when they checked De La Cruz's bat in the Nationals game?
Don't get me started on that. Oh my God.
What a stupid idea that was. Whose idea was that? It's
I'm like Dave. I'm like, I literally said at the TV, Davey Martinez, you idiot. Because you knew as soon as he did the bat check, De La Cruz was going to be like, all right, that's fine. I'll take it off. As soon as he went back up, bang.
We got a lot of action today, and we'll get into it and give it a second to go. But, yeah, it's like tomorrow starts the final series before the All-Star break. So one of the interesting series that starts tomorrow, the Braves and the Rays, the teams with the two best records play. That should be interesting. So people are requesting that I put the timestamps in, and it's so hard to do everything, you know? But I'm going to give it a try once again to do the timestamps. I was doing good for a while, but anyways, I guess we could just get rolling here. We got the Nationals and the Reds. Pick game one. Chris, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I got to go back to the Reds here. You know, I have no idea why they're an underdog in this spot. I know Brandon Williamson hasn't been great, but for whatever reason, whenever he takes him out, even if he struggles, the Reds usually find a way to lift him up. He's lost his last 2 starts, but ironically, his last start he pitched really well against the Padres. 5 innings, 2-run ball. I don't trust Mackenzie Gore. He's been getting roughed up in a lot of his recent outings. I just feel that the Reds are the better team, top to bottom. So give me the Reds for the sweep here.
Rod?
Yeah, I agree. Go with the Reds here. Last time we seen Gore, he went 2.2 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 walks, 7 earned runs. He's a 4 ERA guy. So I expect him to have a little better start than he had last time out. And Williams, he's a 5+ ERA guy. So I don't think any of these 2 starters equate to who gets the win in this one. But I got to go with the Reds as well. Go with Reds. Reds 22-4 in their last 26 following a straight up win. And you look at Washington, 16-49 in their last 65 versus starting left-handed pitcher. So got to keep riding the hot Reds. Not getting off this train yet.
I'm going to go with the Reds too, but not for the reasons that you guys said. I just think the Reds are the better team, and I think it's really does come down to that. I think Mackenzie Gore is a better pitcher than, one outing's stats are going to tell you, and I think he has a much higher ceiling than Williamson for sure. And I think that's why he's favored here, even though the Reds are far and away the better team in this one. But what we've seen is that the Reds just seem to find a way. They continue to find a way, and I think that's the answer. I think, there's a lot of young pitchers out there that are getting some on-the-job training, and I think Mackenzie Gore is, it's 2 years into his on-the-job training, and, you're going to see guys that come out, and you're going to see everything that they're billed to be, and then you're going to see other times where it's like, it's like poker lessons, right? It can be expensive and painful. So, I think in this case, I think the Reds, they just find a way. And they have more comeback wins than anybody. So I'm not expecting them to be ahead gavel to gavel. I think this one might be a little bit of a slugfest. I just see the Reds being a little bit better to slugfest it. More festive, more slug. I'll take the Reds in that one. We go to our next game. Got the Tigers and the A's. I changed the color of the A's here for our thing. We'll see it a little bit better. Nice. So we got the Tigers and the A's. Rod, what do you think?
And for me in this one, you look, Hogan Harris gets the start for the A's, 0-2 with a 5.62 ERA over his last three. So definitely not been great work there. And then the other side of the ball, you got Lorenzen getting the start, and Detroit's lost his last 6 starts. And a couple of those, he's pitched great, and a couple of those, just the lack of Detroit's offense in some of those to give him enough run support to get the win. That has been the issue for Detroit at times this year. And you look at Oakland, winners of the first 2 games of the series, and Detroit losers of 8 straight as a favorite against the AL West. We're way up on Oakland. I'm going to keep riding Oakland here. Give me Oakland in this one over Detroit.
Chris?
I'm going to stick with the Tigers here. I don't love this price, so probably
it was my turn, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. No. I threw it to you. I'm doing 10 things at once now that we're changing things up here. But eventually I'll figure out a way to throw some of this stuff to you guys. But that's okay. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm probably not going to rush to bet on this price with the Tigers, but I just have a hard time getting on board with Hogan Harris. The offense continues to be an issue with Oakland, and Michael Lorenzen, while he has had his issues, he had 4 starts against Oakland last year and owned him in pretty much all of them. I think he gave up just 1 earned run across those 4 starts. So lean to me for the Tigers, but at this price, like I said, not something I'm rushing to bet.
I love the over in this one. I'm not a big totals guy on these shows. I generally try and stay away from them, but I think this is probably one of those spots. The Tigers just absolutely been hideous in this series. You got to expect them to come out and swinging hard, and I think the A's, not really known for their defensive skills this season, and I think that they're more than capable of giving up some big numbers here. But the Tigers have just, they've gone just so cold in this series. Some teams, they just match up really badly against other teams. They just never beat them. It's like in baseball, you have to basically just accept it. It doesn't make any sense. It's the thing I say all the time. The best teams lose 60-plus times a season. The worst teams are going to lose even more than that. And there are just certain things that happen all the time like clockwork, and you just have to basically accept it. And I think, that's what's happening to the Tigers in this series. Just like, remember those great Tiger teams that they had with Verlander and Scherzer or whatever? They couldn't beat the Pirates to save their life, man. And it wasn't good Pirates teams, It was like they could never beat the Pirates. It's it doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. So it's like the Pirates in Milwaukee. They can never beat the Brewers in Milwaukee. It's like never. It's like any AL West team against the Astros. They can't beat them. It's like they just can't do it. It's like it just keeps going on and on. I mean, there's a million things like this. So I'm gonna just go with the over. I would like to go Oakland. The thought of a sweep is just a little bit of a reach for me. It is Michael Lorenzen who could he could walk batters in his sleep. He's a sleepwalker. So I'm going to take the over. Move to our next game. And it's going to be the Cubs and the Brewers. I changed that Brewers out of that yellow that we couldn't see yesterday. Gave them Marlins blue for some reason. I just couldn't figure out what color to give them. So I didn't want to give them the same color as the Cubs. But the Cubs going with Stroman in this one. He's been unbelievable this season. Do the Cubs sign Stroman to the contract, or do they give him or do they trade him at the trade deadline? It really depends on how fast they think it's going to happen for them. If the Cubs think they're going to win this year or next year, then yeah, you do what you have to do, and you give him the money, and of course he's in a contract year, so he's having his best year that we've seen him having forever, right? If you're not going to contend now, which is possible as well, you have to kind of say, deal them and get young players, because that's what the Cubs do. But anyways, back to this game. Boy, the Brewers inventing ways to lose in this series. Both the first two games, I mean, basically gave away both games. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to go with the Brewers here. I'm not betting this thing at all. I will tell you that much. This will be one, I mean, I a lot of times I'll say, oh, I wouldn't bet this and, whatever. And, I end up betting it or whatever. I can promise you I am not betting this game. I promise you I'm not betting it. Chris?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really want to bet this one, but if I were to, I'd probably take the under 8. I just think these are two teams that have inconsistent offense. Freddie Peralta's pitched far better baseball at home. I think he could keep the
he just doesn't look like the same pitcher that we've seen. I mean, he's always been like a strikeout machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year was I think the worst one for Peralta. I think normally this is a guy that's averages it's like 12 or 13 strikeouts per 9 innings. And I think last year he was around 9 or 10. I think the numbers were getting back up this year, but I still look at his home numbers. He's still pitching well at home, and Stroman pitches well, really seemingly regardless of wherever he pitches, as long as he's not in London. And the Cubs bullpen the best in baseball in the last 2 weeks. So I got to go with the under here, under 8.
Right.
For Stroman, as long as he doesn't have to face the Cardinals, because he's like 0-5 with like a 9 ERA or something. He's just awful. It's his kryptonite team is the Cardinals. But you look at Stroman, and his last 3 definitely hasn't been what we've seen him at the start of the season. He's 1-2 with a 4.5 ERA and a 1.38 WHIP, and just as I said, Freddie hasn't looked like the Freddie of old that we remember, and I think he has a good start here. He steps it up and has a good start. And yeah, sure, the Brewers have choked the last 2 games away. They've had the lead heading in late, and the Cubs have just come back and got the win. And you know what? Cubs 0-3 in Game 4 of the series. Brewers 3-1 in Game 4 of the series. I'm going to go with the Brewers here to make this series finish 2-2.
Brewers for you, Rod?
Brewers for me in this one, yeah. I'm going to fade Stroman. I think he gets a little bit more.
Just a lot of information there. I was just trying to figure out exactly what the pick was.
Positive regression from Stroman here in this one. I think he gives
classic Zawacki filibuster, which I end up not even knowing what the pick is. But anyways, got up next. Got the White Sox and the Blue Jays. This is the makeup game from yesterday. It's Lynn against Barrios. There was no odds actually when I made the slide, so I just left the odds from yesterday. It's like I just left everything the same. I can
close.
only. Is it close? Are they
It's
out?
pretty close. The Jays went up a little bit. I think they might be at -1 -125 in places now, but pretty close to staying.
Let me see my board. And we got the. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Well, I see 118, 125s. Yeah. All right. So it's in the ballpark. And
It's in the ballpark.
it's reasonable. Chris, it's your pick here.
All right, well, I'm going to stick with the over in this one. I liked it yesterday. If it's still Barrios versus Lynn, I'm still sticking with it. I mean, Barrios, like I said, he started to look like the pitcher, that was really struggling earlier on this season, especially on the road. He's been getting hit in his last few starts. The White Sox have been doing a decent job hitting righties as of late, and I still think the Blue Jays can get to Lance Lynn for a few runs here. He will start, I think, to play to the back of his baseball card and start to drop that ERA, but he's still given up 3 or more runs in each of his last 7 starts. So I think we do get up and over this total of 9 here when all's said and done.
And for me in this one, I'm going to go with Toronto. Toronto's been dominant over the White Sox all season long. 4-0 versus the White Sox this year. Barrios and Lynn early, I think we got a little pitcher's duel. As Lynn has definitely improved from what we've seen at the start of the year. So pitcher's duel early, and I got to give the edge to the Jays offense that have outscored the White Sox 24-5 in those 4 meetings this season. I think the bats come alive here in this one late and get the win. Give me the Jays over the White Sox in this one.
I'm going to roll with the White Sox in this one for me. I just think that I just think that Barrios is on the road is still always going to be a bad bet for me. I don't care what anything says, and I think the White Sox are a team that, while they're inconsistent and all those things that we've come to know and hate about the White Sox, and wonder why we put our money on them some nights. These are the games they win. It's like there's certain games it's like that they win, and this is one of them. They're gonna beat them up. This will be the one where they score like 9-10 runs. I can just see it. That kind of thing. So I'm gonna take the White Sox in game 1. So next up, we've got the Rays and the Phillies. This one has been all Phillies. This series, but the Rays heavily favored in this one, at least according to my graphic, which is off. That's okay. The Rays are favored, just not as much as what this says.
And for me in this one, you look looks like it's going to be a bullpen game for both teams here in this one, and sure the Phillies have won the first few games of the series, but I think today's the day that the road winning streak for the Phillies comes to an end here. I think Tampa Bay doesn't get swept, and they snag a win here. I'm just not either of these two starters don't equate to who gets the win, but I think Tampa Bay they get the win here in this one. They salvaged 1 win against these Phillies, anyways. Tough to beat the Rays 3 times in a row, 3 straight. I don't see it. Give me the Rays in this one.
I'm going to take the Rays also. I don't like the price, that's for sure. But that's where I'm going to roll in this one. The Phillies have really done a number on Tampa Bay, and I tell you, I've had the Rays in every one of these games, so it's been brutal for me as well. It's been as bad for me as it has been for them, and nothing fun about that. But the Rays, it's like nothing keeps them down too long. It's like it's the way that they are. And the Phillies, I mean, they've been rolling on the road. I don't know.
11 straight. So I think it is here. Get off that train.
Not a place where where I'm going to be betting one way or the other. That's for sure. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to ride the train one more stop. I think it's crazy to think that the Rays could potentially get swept at home, but like I said, the Phillies have just been playing so well on the road. It's hard for me to really go against them here. Especially at any price close to this. So I'm going to take a shot at the Phillies here. Not game rushing to bet, but I might put a couple bucks on it.
All right. We move on. It is the Marlins and the Cardinals, man. The Marlins just took out the ugly stick hitting the ball yesterday. They've now shown that they can win it all sorts of different ways. And, I talk about it all the time on here, the teams that are really good and teams that turn the corner to become good, they find a way to win games where they don't play their best, and that's where it all really happens. And it's like the Marlins yesterday, I don't think they were at their best, but they still managed to find a way. And I think that they, continue on. It's just this team is one of the more dangerous teams on the board. And they have a big series coming up this weekend, against the Phillies. And I think that, what we'll see from the Marlins is we're going to see where they are. If they had the barometer series against the Braves. That was in Atlanta. They're not there yet. Right? I mean, they're not ready to compete against the best team in baseball. They were somewhat competitive they weren't really competitive in any of those games. They got bounced in the first two. The last one, they were in it for a while, but they just couldn't hang all the way. But I think that against a team like the Cardinals, we've seen these guys can absolutely put the hammer down. We saw Honig, who pitched yesterday. Pitched yesterday for the Marlins. He was one of the pitchers in that Braves series that gave up big runs in the first inning. Perez was the other one that gave up big runs in the first inning against the Braves. And so it's a bounce back spot for him. We're gonna, this is a growing team, a team in progress. They're fun to watch, these Marlins. I have to believe that, I've been fading the Cardinals all season long, so why would I jump on them now with Flaherty? Chris, what do you think?
Right there with you. I see no reason to jump on the Cardinals with Flaherty pitching. He, just like the rest of this Cardinals team, has been inconsistent. And like you said, the Cardinals are another one of the teams that we've been talking about today that have been just finding new and creative ways to lose as of late. First, was it 2 games ago, like you said, they lost 15-2. Yesterday, come back from 5-5 or 5-0 down to come back to 5-5. Actually take a 9-8 lead in the ninth and then give up 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth. So Marlins just feeling it right now. They're playing with like a team that doesn't want an All-Star break to come, while the Cardinals can't wait for the All-Star break. So give me the Marlins in this one.
Yeah, I agree. Got to go with the Marlins here in this one. Look at Flaherty. His last 3, 2-1 with a 6.48 ERA. Definitely not been good. And Yuri Perez, sure, he got a blip. That was against the Braves his last time out. But you look at him before that, he went 32 innings, recorded 100 outs, and only gave up 1 run over those 32 innings of work. Just a beast. If you look, he gave a 1 run in his 6 previous starts before he faced the Braves and had that rough blowout first inning. So I think he easily bounces back here against the Cardinals. Go with the Marlins here in this one. Big.
We got the Yankees and the Orioles back at Yankee Stadium. Return to the scene of the crime. The Yankees really not playing spectacular baseball, and the Orioles really kind of not playing their best baseball either. So it's 2 teams that are kind of not playing their best baseball coming into this series. Rod, what do you think? Rod?
Yeah, hold on. Let's try to find. Bounced around there. Which one are we going with? We're on Baltimore and the Yankees.
Orioles-Yankees.
Orioles-Yankees. Okay. You look at Kyle Bradish in this one, and he's been pretty good his last 3 starts, 2-1 with a 3.37 ERA his last three, and a .74 WHIP. And look who's up next. We got Luis Severino on the other side. Then Louis. Oh no, you got to go, Louis. I telling you, you definitely got to go. He's been awful at times this season. I think the Orioles get to him early and get a huge lead for Bradish, and they don't look back from there. Luis Severino has just been awful. I don't trust this guy at all. I'll fade him the rest of the season. Give me the Orioles in this one. Louis. Oh, no.
I'm taking the Yankees here. Big. I'd go reverse run line on this thing as well. The Orioles are just absolutely hideous, man, these days, especially in the favorite role, especially coming off a win. I don't think they've strung together wins in the favorite role in a month. I understand they still have a decent record, and then starting pitching to me means absolutely zero because most of these pitchers rarely factor into the decisions these days. Most of the games are won late in these baseball games. We see it night after night after night, and I know Severino has not been good, but we know he has good stuff in there somewhere, and he's more likely to regress back to his good stuff than he is to continue to get worse and worse. Bradish, what we saw last time out, he couldn't hold down the fort, against the Twins, and they really needed him to. What happens is he has some good pitches, but he tends to hang. They tend to hang, and when it starts to hang, they leave the park in a hurry, and that's what we saw with Joey Gallo got to him, and and everybody else. I just think that the Orioles, as a favorite, coming off a win, is an absolute horrific spot for them. I wouldn't put a penny of my hard-earned money on them. Chris?
I'm going to take the under in this one. There's two inconsistent offenses right now against two solid pitchers. Bradish, 2.88 ERA in his last 7. And Luis Severino in his career, he's had a lot of success against the O's. 5-0 in his last 5 starts against Baltimore with a sub-3 ERA. I just think this could be a very similar result to what we saw on Wednesday, a 4-3 kind of game. So I'm going to take the under 9 in this one.
All right. We move to the next game. It is the Guardians and the Royals. Oh, man. The Guardians couldn't be any happier that the Braves have left town, man. They did manage to get a win there, though, against them, which is better than most people can say. But, I always look for ways to take the dog, right? I always start, if I'm getting big odds like this, I always find a way to get me off of the big odds. And, the way you get me off the big odds is tell me that Jordan Lyles is pitching. I mean, it really is that simple. He does have a win, so we don't have that to say anything about him anymore. But I just don't see it developing for him in this spot. I hate laying these kind of odds, but I don't see any other way to go here. Chris, try and talk me off the ledge here because I hate laying these kind of odds. I think for me, it's like I don't even want to go run line, which is ridiculous because that's what I do. But I think that I just don't see any other way to go. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk you off of it here because I like the Guardians on the run line. Jordan Lyles, like you said, he got the win, but now the Royals were 1-15 in his 16 starts as a team this season. The majority of those losses coming by 2 runs. Don't get me wrong, I haven't been all that thrilled with the Guardians' offense for much of the season, but like you said, they did get a win over the Braves, and there's just we've talked with Tony T about the massive drop off in class angle when you go from the Braves and now you take on the Royals. I think the Guardians take out some frustration from that series against the Braves and beat up on the Royals and Jordan Lyles here. So give me the Guardians on the run line.
What is the run line on the Guardians in this one?
I think it was -110.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. That to me is the worst bet in sports. It's like laying runs and odds is just stupidity. Just take your money, take a lighter to it, and throw it out the window because there's no value, right? There's no value. It's like you are paying up for runs and then not even getting anything out of it. It just doesn't even make any sense. It's just, it's the books like just having a field day on you. it's either money line or you don't play it. In my book, that's just pure betting strategy. Rod, sure, Rod's gonna run line for Guardians.
Well, what else are you gonna do? I would go the -2.5, -3.5. I think this could get really ugly here in this game, but it's definitely not a game I'm rushing on the win of the bet. Sure, do we think Lyles is gonna string 2 wins together? Can he get 2 wins? The +1.5 with the Royals is the same as that -110 with the Guardians. So, for me, this -2.5 or nothing. But this is probably a game that I am definitely not going to be making a bet on today. But if I had to, Guardians -2.5. I think they can win by 3. Even the team total in the Guardians, I think they can get to 5 runs. I think they over 4.5. Might not be a bad play there.
All right, we move on to the Red Sox and the Rangers. This has been about as predictable of a series as it gets. Chris, it is you.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texas Rangers here. I like Nathan Eovaldi. I like the way he's pitched on the road for much of the season, and just Cutter Crawford for me since he's come into the rotation for the Red Sox. Hasn't been anything special. 4.36 ERA. I just find the Rangers are, yes, they hit a bit of a rough patch. They were slowing down a little bit, but I just feel like they're the better team here. I'm going to go with the Rangers in this one to tee off on Cutter Crawford.
Rod.
Yeah, I agree. Got to go with Texas here. Aldi 6-1 and with a 2.44 ERA over his last 7 on the road here this season. So he's just been the better pitcher. And when it comes to late, I think Texas has a big enough lead they can hold down Boston. Cutter Crawford has got a 5 ERA at home, 5.28 ERA in night games. Texas 7-2 in Game 3 following a loss. I think they bounce back and get a win here. Give me Texas.
I put down the wrong team for you. All right. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier than this, man. This is the Red Sox all day and twice on Thursday. Lay the reverse run line and even have some fun with it. The Red Sox absolutely own the Rangers at Fenway Park. I think it's 14-1 in their last 15 trips there. Not a happy place for Rangers and the Ranger fans and all that other stuff. The Rangers are a team in straight regression mode. And I'll tell you what, Eovaldi went about 7 innings last time out, 3 hits. He looked awesome. The probability of him being able to do that twice in a row is about 0. And that leaves you with a Texas Rangers bullpen, which is the worst bullpen I've ever seen. Not ever seen, but they're up there. They move guys around, they do whatever. They absolutely stink. And it's like, I think to continue to give odds on starting pitching in today's baseball is insanity. You got to look at the game, and you got to look at the bullpens, and you got to look at all that stuff. Cutter Crawford, last time out, right? We've seen him throw gems too. These guys are major league pitchers, man. They're major league pitchers. It's like it's not that easy. If it was that easy, I mean, baseball has the largest minor league system of any sport. It's like, if there were guys that could pitch at this level and could have the ability to do these things, they would be in the majors because there is that many guys in the minors. Single A, double A, triple A, internationally, Pacifically, right? I mean, it is everywhere. So, I don't know, man. I do not see any angle here on the Rangers. I do not understand why they're favored. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. And there's nothing there that reads Rangers to me. Nothing on the board. But anyways, that's just me. I've been wrong before. We go to our next game. Astros-Mariners. Have the Astros announced the starter, Chris?
When I was looking at the rotation, it looked like it would be a spot for Ronel Blanco, but I haven't seen anything confirmed.
That's what they sent. Yep, Blanco, it looks like, is now the starter for this one. No odds out for this game, though, but we can still look at the money line. Rod, what do you think?
For me in this one, I'm going to go with Seattle plus the 1.5. I think they can keep it close with Kirby on the mound. His last time out, got a nice win. Went deep into the game, and Seattle got a win against the Rays last time out. I think he can continue that good success he had, and I think he keeps it close with Houston here, and I don't know if Seattle can outright win them, but I think it's a 1-run game anyway. You slice it, so give me Seattle plus the 1.5 here.
You don't think Seattle's going to be favored when the odds come out in this thing with Kirby, or it's going to be even? Yeah, I think the plus 1.5 is going to be minus 200 anyway you slice it. It's going to be plus 190, minus 190 ish, minus 175 at the low end.
The low end. If the odds are that high, you know me, I'm not laying that type of odds. Then I would take Seattle outright.
We'll put you in at the plus 1.5, and then go from there. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the Astros here. This is another automatic. Doesn't get any more automatic than this. The Astros about 155-3 against American League West teams. They just absolutely own this division. They have owned this division. They've done it on the road. They've done it at home. They've done it everywhere. They have owned this division. They have won this division every single year, and they're going to win the division again this year. And they're going to do it the way that they always do it, and that is beating up every team in the American League West that even has remote hope or thoughts of beating them. Just not going to happen. So I'm going to take the got a little ambitious there, I guess, on the size of this one. We got there we go. We got I'm going to take the Astros in this one. And, I'm not even, it's one of those ones I don't even handicap. I don't even need to look. You know, it's an automatic. It's like if Andrew Cashner was pitching. You just take the other team automatically, or Lyles, right? Just take the other team. It's like same thing. Astros versus an American League West team. Astros. Chris.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Astros here as well. I was initially thinking the under, but obviously with nothing released, I'll go with the side here. And like you said, I like the Astros. Just the way they're playing against the division right now, they're starting to make a charge.
Not against right now. Look at them the last 5 years versus this division.
No, I know. I just meant like compared to earlier this season, they're looking like the Astros, like you said, that we've seen over the last few years.
Because we went over the number the last time they played a team in the division. I can't remember where we were at, but we were in that 13 or 14-2 range, right? Isn't where we were?
Yeah.
For against the division, it was something like that.
Yeah.
But actually, they did struggle a little against Seattle earlier this season. That was the last time that they really had any problems within the division. But that was at Seattle too. But I don't think it really matters. The Astros just show them once again that they can play poorly and still win. We're seeing them do it a lot too, right? It's like they're not playing that great and they still win. You know, it's like this is why they're a World Series contender every single year. And this is why teams like, the Brewers aren't, It's because the Brewers lose those games, the Astros win those games. Just really is that simple. All right. Kind of struggling with the banter because of the doing all the graphics and having to do all this other stuff. I'm like super busy here. Makes it not as fun for me. But we'll figure it out as time goes on. We'll get somebody else to do all this stuff as we go on. It's the Jays and the White Sox part 2. Looks like it's going to be Kikuchi against Banks in this one. And that would be me, right? So I'm gonna roll with the White Sox again. I'd say why not? It's weird because starters hadn't been announced, but odds were out earlier. But now there's no odds on the game now that Banks has been announced. I'm gonna go with the White Sox. I have little faith in Kikuchi. The Blue Jays are a 500 team on the road, so it's like. You take the White Sox as a dog in both games, you'll end up a little bit ahead. And that's really part of what it is, It's part of what it is. So I'm gonna take the White Sox in game 2 of this one. Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over here again. You say Kikuchi, the one thing he's really struggled with this season has been the home run ball. I think he's either tied for the league lead or he's up there. I think he's given up 22 home runs this season. And we know the White Sox haven't been as sharp against lefties this season, but this is definitely a team that is in a favorable spot when they take on left-handed pitching. I think they get to Kikuchi for at least 3 or 4 runs here, and I think the Jays do get going against this against Banks and whatever's left of the White Sox bullpen. I think the bullpens are going to be tired in both of these games, so give me the over in this one as well.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. I like the over here in this one. I mean, you look at the Jays in doubleheader games. In game 2 of a doubleheader, 5-1 to that over. So the second game tends to be more over for these Blue Jays. And with Kikuchi on the mound, he gives up a few. And I think Chicago gives up a few. Toronto can get to him. I agree. I like the over in game number 2. I think we easily get into double digits in the runs in this one. The over.
You think they're cranking the nickel back in the Blue Jays locker room before the games, or getting fired up? Nickel back.
Might be a little. Yeah, it might be a little bit, definitely.
A little bit of nickel back, man. Throw it on. It's like...
We know McDavid is definitely cranking the Nickelback. He loves Nickelback. Yeah, that's his favorite. One of his favorite bands for sure. We know McDavid is rocking the Nickelback. He's already invited Nickelback to come drink out of the cup when he wins it. Definitely, they'll be rocking the party if we can get them.
Long time to never. For that one. Anyways, continued through it. Got the return to the scene of the crime. The Diamondbacks taking on the Metropolitans. Chris, last night the Mets just ripped the hearts out of the D-backs. They they got it done late, right?
Yeah, super late.
You know, those are the ones, man. If like I didn't have action on the game, but I was thinking Mets, you know, going in, but I didn't have any action. I don't know why I didn't have a bet on the game. I was thinking Mets, even with Senga, who I faded all season. But I was just thinking the Mets, you know, they kind of have finally found a gear. Diamondbacks just look super, I don't know. This did not look to be in the best spot there yesterday. I was surprised it was the bullpen, though, because it's been the Diamondbacks that have been the comeback team, not the Mets. But this one's got a reasonable total on it. I have the right number up there.
Yeah, no, definitely a reasonable total. But
it was 10 and this one was 10.5.
Oh.
You know,
I do think there is possibility we could get up and over that, but I actually like the Mets here. You know, Carlos Carrasco, you know, for all the struggles he had earlier on this season, and still with a 5.94 ERA, you know, he's pitched his better baseball on the road as of late. You know, back-to-back starts where he's given up 2 runs on the road. He's only gone about 4 innings, so he heavily leans on the bullpen. But Ryan Nelson, he's done his best work on the road, and that's not going to benefit him here. At Chase Field this year, a 7.09 ERA across 8 starts. And he said, you know, as much as we like the Arizona Diamondbacks for being the comeback kids, sometimes this bullpen, especially when you see Miguel Castro, that can be a bit of an unnerving situation. So I'm going to go with the New York Mets in this one, the plus money.
Right.
Yeah, I got to agree. I'm going to go with the Mets here. Arizona dead to me. Choked that one away late for me yesterday. So for me, you look, Carrasco definitely has not pitched as bad as what he has started the season as. And just as Chris said, Nelson at home is definitely going to give up some runs as well. So I like the over, and I like the Mets. Give the Mets on the over. Their bats have been definitely rolling a lot better than Arizona lately.
I'm gonna take the D-backs in this one. I think they bounce back. I think that I think Nelson holds them in it, and I think that, you know, Carrasco has pitched well. They've handled them with kit gloves, but the teams that guys like him struggle against are the guys that pick at you, you know, and that's what the Diamondbacks do. They kind of pick at you, you know. I mean, you look at Carrasco, and you can talk about his numbers, how he certainly has pitched well recently, you know, in his last few games, and he's not he's not the same guy he was in Cleveland, but he's definitely been better than that. But it hasn't led to wins. That's for sure. You know, it's led to the Mets bullpen coming in early, and that's not good. That's not a good thing. It's weird because, and we talked about this yesterday, and we talked about it with Tony T too. It's like you just don't see the setup men and the bullpens that we've seen in the past. They're just not there anymore. I don't know what's happened to it. And the Mets are a team that they lost their closer, so their bullpen has been a mess since before the season even started. If the Mets had their closer, I think they would be having a different season right now than what they're having. Sure. Well, I mean, he doesn't hit, so it wouldn't be that much of a different season. But I think they'd be having a different season than what we've seen from them. So I don't know. I'm still going to go with the D-backs in this one. I'm going to stick to my guns. And our last game on the card, it is the Dodgers taking on the Padres. Chris? Is it you, or is it you or me? Or Rod?
I think it's Rod.
All right, we'll go Rod.
Well, for me in this one, I'm going to take the over. Like we've seen in the first few games of the series, runs early often and scoring plenty. Oviedo, last time we've seen him, he gave up eight runs, and Urias definitely last time we seen him, he gave up a bunch too. So this total of 9, I think it should be a 10. Take the over 9. Pirates, Dodgers.
I like the Pirates in this one. I like Oviedo. I think he's the type of guy that if he can get out of the first inning, he's good. So it's just a matter. We're going to know right out of the gate. We're going to know early if it's going to go or not. And Urias, it's like even before last game, when he returned from the injured list, and I played against him last game. I forget who it was. It was against
Kansas City, wasn't it?
Kansas City, right? On the road. And so I had the Royals in that game. And Urias, his rehab starts were in A-ball. And then they put him in the majors straight from A-ball. And he's had a horrible season. This guy's been in the Dodgers organization. I mean, he's not that old, but he's been in the Dodgers organization since he was about 12. And that's not an exaggeration. That is the true story. I mean, he was seen as the next Fernando. So, for me, I'm going to take a shot on the Pirates. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot on the Pirates as well. He said Julio Urias just hasn't been sharp since when his return start last time out, and the Pirates have had the upper hand on the Dodgers in a lot of the recent meetings, and they've won like 8 of the last 11 head-to-head meetings, and they had a chance yesterday. They had the bases loaded with nobody out twice in the later innings, and couldn't do anything with it. And I think if they get anything close to that opportunity again, I think they're going to take advantage. I think they bounce back. I'm going to take the plus 1.5. But if you want, I'm going to take the money line here with the Pirates.
All right. Parlay time. Who wants to go first? Hang on a sec. Hang on. Let me just make sure I got it all set here. I have to type fast. I think I'm going to have Chris do the timestamps going forward. And I'll do everything else. See if that will make it a little bit more efficient. All right, Chris, who's it going to be?
All right, I'm going to do the Mets. Do the Pirates and the Marlins.
Rod?
And for me, we're going to go with Brewers, Oakland, Rangers. $10 gets you $79.77.
And I will do it's like my my parlay leaves the thing, you know, like when I did it this morning. Oh crap. All right, I'm gonna go the Guardians. This is where you play the Guardians is here. I'll take the Guardians, the A's, and the Yankees. $10 pays $74.72. So let me write down Guardians, A's, Yankees. All right. So that wraps it all up. You know, obviously new format, so a couple things that, you know, we're still working on here. Obviously a little bit more work here for me behind the scenes. We're going to have a producer that does all this stuff, so it's not going to remain this type of where I don't have time to do my banter, my shtick. That's the only reason I'm here. But, yeah. But I kind of like the direction that we're going here with everything. So bear with us. I promise you. We always set the tone and set the trends. And I know, you know, other people have graphics and stuff like that, but they're not going to be as cool as ours. We know that. I think some of the ones are overdone that are out there. Just too much graphic, you know? So it's
Too much.
I'm trying to find just a happy medium. It's like I want to get more motion graphics and more things like that going, but at the same time, I don't want to beat everybody over the head where you kind of, you know, you don't even know what you're looking at over and over again. Anyways, I think this covers it, though, because it has all of our picks. You know, who did you like in this game? We don't have to see those comments, right? It's like we got that covered. We got the games covered that we're, you know, what games you're talking about, the game that's on the board, right? It's like, so we'll figure it out. We'll get it together. It's all, as always, we're a work in progress, but we appreciate all you guys sticking through it with us. And if you're listening to it on the podcast or whatever, the YouTube has graphics. And with making a winning day, we appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you tomorrow. Do you believe it's Friday already? I mean, this week went. I mean, I just can't believe it. It's like Friday. Yesterday felt like Thursday, and today feels like Friday. It's so weird. I'll see you guys later. Make it a winning day.